Natalie MacMaster, it's so nice to meet you.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to be here with you. Thank you very much for the little chat.
What made you decide to write a memoir now?
Well, there was definitely something that made me write this book. Now, I wouldn't. The focus was the memoir is kind of like the part of it that is a necessary. It's necessary to give those details of a memoir to create the picture, but the real picture behind it all was very purposeful, very much intended to shed some light on simple love. And it was rooted in literally a drive I had to the grocery store one day about 7 years ago, just overwhelmed with the terrible headlines in the news, day after week after week. My mother telling me bad things going on in Cape Breton. I thought, we're not safe anywhere. Me with 7 children, what kind of life do my kids have to, what kind of world do they have to live in? Those types of thoughts, which I'm sure people have had before. You're just thinking, oh my gosh, what is going on? And that led me to just kind of start trying to get myself out of that way of thinking. And I started thinking about my family, my kids, and my upbringing, my husband and his fatherhood. And all these things came flooding forth. And I literally started bawling. And I said, thank you, God. Thank you for all the good things I have and have had. And then I just started thinking, like, it's so simple. Like, my mom just cooked meals for me. But we don't realize the value of that. It stays with you, I think, till you go in the grave yourself. Like it just is one of those things that just stays with you. It forms who you are. So it was just a wanting to share simple things that really matter.
You start with meeting your husband. Why?
My husband said to me, you know, Nat, you should really have something exciting to start the book off with. Because as I said, 7 years ago, it was only the last 3 years I committed to actually, okay, I'm going to do this. I had a ton of stuff written, but I just never committed to the final, okay, we're going to do this. So it started with, Natalie MacMaster, born and raised, Cape Breton, blah, blah, blah. He goes, Natalie, you need to start off with something exciting. And I said, well, I don't have any shock value in my life. Like, what's the most exciting thing? And so I just sat down. He said, you'll think of something. He didn't actually suggest that, but when I thought about it and I started writing, I just liked the way it sounded. Hey, Nat, the phone's for you. It's a guy. And that's the way it starts.
And lo and behold, 7 children and how many years? Like 25 years, 24 years?
We've been married 23 years, and it's probably, our oldest will be 20 in December. Yeah, and our youngest is 7.
Your book is very homey, and one thing that I can relate to, you talk about cooking and recipes, and you include recipes. I also love to cook.
Yeah, nice. Well, and also, too, anybody who's a mother out there, they're going to end up cooking something at some point. I mean, it's just the way it is. They're going to end up cooking a lot, probably. I mean, you have to, at some point, you have to get at the kitchen. Now, the funny part is I never started cooking till I was married. I remember one year I did 250 shows. I had rented my apartment. The apartment I was renting, I'd lived in it for 2 weeks out of 1 year. I was just gone all the time. And that's why I didn't cook. I was just, gone so much. But when I settled down a bit, and also, too, I wanted to create a happy home. Donnell wasn't much of a chef, mind you. He could cook a darn good steak. He's a beef cattle farmer, so he could do that. But I wanted to learn to cook, so I did. And, yeah, I included recipes because, again, that whole thing of, making food for your children seems insignificant maybe, or maybe to some people it doesn't. I don't know. But it's certainly, I think it's an act of love. For some people, it's a simple act of love. For some people, it's maybe more grand because it takes more effort. But it still is love.
But your mother did that for you, and you said she served it on nice plates and at the table. I mean, that part is rare, and I think that people not sitting together for meals is bad.
I agree. And there was a day when I thought, how could you not sit here together? Like, we're all in the same house, we're all eating the same meal. But now I get it. What my house looks like now is different than it was 5 years ago. Because there's drivers, there's older kids, they have their own jobs, their own careers, their own lives, school, sports. When they were 12 and under, or even 14 and under, well, then COVID hit. So, yeah, we were all together all the time and ate all our meals together. Now that's changing. So if I can get, like, 5 meals a week in where we're all sitting down at the table. That's about our average.
That's a lot. That's good.
It's pretty good. Yeah, every Sunday for sure we do. We always have brunch together at noon. I included my recipe for crepes in there. You got to try that. That's a dandy.
And one thing that I really did not know, because I'm very well aware of the fiddling tradition in Cape Breton, but I did not know that there was this resurgence, because the CBC ran a story in 1972 saying the tradition was in danger of dying out. I had no idea.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, and it just provoked some I don't know what, a spark of some sort, maybe some pride to say, hey, we're not going to let that happen. But I do believe that had something to do with the resurgence.
So how did it happen? There was a fiddlers union created. Tell me about all of that.
Yeah, it was Father John Angus Rankin, whom I remember. He died many, many years ago, but he was a fiddler. Many of the clergy are musicians or dancers or Gaelic singers in Cape Breton. That is not uncommon for sure. So he was like that, very musical, and he gathered. He accepted this sort of a indirect challenge and said, "We're going to get 100 fiddlers together in my parish, on this stage, outdoor stage," and that was the start of this resurgence. And I think they got over 100 fiddlers, maybe 104 or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but there was a lot of fiddlers. Now, mind you, yes, they were older. Wasn't many young ones. This was before I was kind of on the scene. So
you were born that year.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I mean, by the time they got that organized, I would have been around, but I would have been very young. But this became an annual event. This festival, in Glendale, and the Cape Breton Fiddlers Association started up from that, which still exists today, which I'm a member of. Yeah, and, when I started, there weren't a lot of young kids playing, but there were some. I mean, there was probably like a half a dozen or so, maybe more than that, but that I knew. And from there, it grew and grew. You know what the irony is of it all? Well, I guess this is true maybe right across the board, but in those days it was a lot of guys, men. And now I think there's more women fiddlers than there are men.
That's great.
It's like flipped. It's like flipped. It's amazing, actually. And
did you ever encounter any kind of impediment because you're a woman?
Not a thing. No.
You got your fiddle from your family, and was it your uncle that bought a bunch of fiddles for the family?
Well, actually, he was given them. They were mailed up to him from my granduncle, Charlie MacMaster, and which would have been Buddy's uncle. And Charlie, we had a lot of relatives down in the Boston States, they were known as, right? The Boston States. And so our family, just through Uncle Charlie, wanted to send up these fiddles to Cape Breton for any of the MacMaster grandchildren, or, And so, yeah, Buddy called us, and I took the littlest one. Yeah, that's what got me going.
And the rest is history?
And the rest is history. I knew I'd be playing my whole life. That first day I started, I remember thinking, and I remember this, I thought, I'll never not play. I'll always be a fiddler.
And did you ever think that you would kind of reach beyond the local kitchen, Kaylee? I mean, you've had quite the career.
Never did I think that, because that wasn't done. No one was playing music like for a living. They were making money from it for sure, but they weren't, like, they all had jobs. No one was on TV shows and traveling on airplanes. I mean, Buddy was going to Scotland to teach. It was just a different era. And now so many people who play music can make a living from it. It's just so many things seem to have changed at the same time. Even the whole, women kind of taking on more roles than they did traditionally in the past. All those things were happening at the same time, this resurgence in music. Even the whole industry, music industry, was focusing on East Coast music. Like, remember when Rita McNeil, she was such a huge star, and then the Rankins and and Ashley McIsaac, of course, and like there was a time. So all these things were stacking on top of one another, which just were stepping stones for me, and I was really fortunate to have had a wonderful existence through playing Cape Breton fiddle.
And that was a lovely story about your first kind of big international gig opening.
You mean Carlos Santana?
Yes.
That was a dandy, for sure. Like, that was unexpected. We were at this beautiful festival in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was excited. I had a trio with me. Dave MacIsaac on guitar, Tracy Dares on piano. We would have been playing, stages. Maybe you'd get a few hundred, maybe even a couple thousand people at a stage, but they were smaller stages. But there was this massive stage, the main stage, called the Coca-Cola stage. Anyway, I literally had, I think it was our tour manager who said, "Hey, Nat, they just informed me, like, they need someone to play tonight to open up for the main stage act. You have the time. Can you do that?" And I'm like, "Sure." Like, he's like, "It's for Carlos Santana." I'm like, "Okay." So Dave MacIsaac, our guitarist, is like, "Oh my gosh." He's a huge fan, right? He's like, "Natalie, oh my gosh, Carlos." And I'm like, "Who's Carlos Santana?" He's like, "Natalie, don't you know Black Magic Woman?" I'm like, "No, I don't." And so I met Carlos Santana that night, and we played in front of 80,000 people.
And what was he like?
He was very cool. In fact, he even watched us play. I thought that was pretty, especially now after playing for 43 years, I know that that's not necessarily the case all the time, In fact, it would be more the rarity. They're usually up backstage, warming up, prepping, whatever. But he was there. He watched us. And when I got off stage, he said, "Great job." He said, "See, I had broken a string during my performance."
Oh.
Yeah, that was not good. What can you do? So he said afterwards, "Hey, you did a great job." He said, "But you should bring along a spare fiddle next time. That's what B.B. King always does, takes a spare."
And
so
do
I
you?
figure, if B.B. King can do it, I should do it.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I used to everywhere. Now I don't have to because I play with my husband. He's got his fiddle, so there's always another fiddle. Yeah.
So what do you hope that people take away from this?
Well, thanks for asking that, because as we're sitting here talking about all the, stories that have happened over the years and my career and all that, the point of it was never that. Those stories create the picture, and they're also interesting. I really wanted this book to be a good read, but my fire that was lit within me that day that I was telling you about, where I was just thinking of all these bad headlines, my fire is just that I want people to just recall the beautiful things, the simple things of moments of love in their life that they've either given or received or have witnessed. And just reattach yourself to those basic things so that we can keep propelling what makes the world a good place. That was my overall objective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Natalie MacMaster, thank you so much.
You're welcome.